Good afternoon to all of you, and a special welcome once again to Tal.
Thank you.
Tal, this morning we heard you with rapt attention. I think it brought a smile and made us reflect a lot in terms of that happiness is actually within us, is what I picked up from your session. So let me begin with a very, very simple question. In your definition, what is it that would make all of us happy? What is that secret ingredient in terms of what happiness means to all of us?
Right, so the question, what is happiness, is a question that has been asked for thousands of years. And actually many of the answers can be found, right here. This is the origin, the birthplace of it all. So when I think about happiness, I think about it in 5 dimensions. I think about spiritual well-being. So, for example, having a sense of purpose, being present in what we're doing. Physical well-being, that's physical health, which means exercising on a regular basis, eating healthfully, touch, and so forth. Intellectual well-being, exercising the mind, because this is what differentiates us from other animals, is that we reflect, we analyze using the mind. Relational, interpersonal well-being, which is the #1 predictor of happiness, quality time we spend with people. And finally, emotional well-being. So it's spiritual well-being, physical well-being, intellectual well-being, relational well-being, and emotional well-being. The sum of it is happiness.
So, will a cup of tea make you happy now?
That will contribute to my physical well-being. So yes.
Okay, as you enjoy your tea, I think as in today's context where there's so much of disruption, so much of uncertainties, the fear of loss of jobs or anything, things like that, the socio-political scene. So what is it that one needs to do to be happy? Because most of the things are beyond one's control. If tomorrow I know that somebody is going to lose his or her job, what is it that will make or keep that person at least positive, forget being happy? So what do you think is the way forward for these people?
Yes, so life is tough. As the Buddha pointed out in the 4 truths, the first truth is there's a lot of suffering. And the first step is to accept that suffering. People come to me and say, oh, you're the happiness doctor, you must be happy all the time. Of course not. I have my ups and downs like everyone else does. So the first thing is to accept the fact that suffering, that pain, the disappointment, sadness, they're all part of life. And then the question is, what do we do with it? So the things that we can do with it, for example, regular physical exercise. You know that exercise has the same effect on your psychological well-being as our most powerful psychiatric medication. So 30 minutes 3 times a week of walking or jogging or playing basketball or football or dancing. 30 minutes 3 times a week. In addition, meditation. Now, it has been done for thousands of years here. Only now in the West, there's been research showing that our brain actually changes when we meditate on a regular basis. So doing yoga, for instance, or sitting meditation, or metta, loving kindness meditation, all these things contribute significantly to happiness. And finally, spending time, quality time, as I said this morning, not time when we're on the computer at the same time, but quality time with people we care about and who care about us can really make us happy even through difficult times, or especially during difficult times.
So in addition to all the physical aspects in terms of preparing the rest of the body, the rest of being happy, as parents, as professionals, as HR people, what is it we need to be doing differently to ensure there's an area of positivity across so that people are at least happy in what they do? Because as parents, as bosses, as HR professionals, we play a very significant role in impacting or influencing the environment around us.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you can do as HR, as leaders in HR, is connect the employees to purpose. Because one of the things that gets us up in the morning, one of the things that keeps us going, one of the things that energizes and provides us with happiness is a sense of meaning and purpose. So how can you connect your employees to purpose? You know, one of the things that we do as part of Potentialife is we come into an organization and we ask the people to write not their job description, but their calling description or their purpose description. In other words, what is it that you do day in and day out that means a lot to you, that is important to you, that is significant to you? And when you identify that in your day-to-day work, immediately your mindset changes, immediately you become more motivated, you become a better worker, and of course you become happier. So connecting to purpose. But it's not just to purpose, it's also connecting to the things that are positive, already positive in your workplace. So Teresa Amabile, who was a colleague of mine at Harvard Business School, has shown that people in the workplace who write or reflect on one thing a day that they made progress on. One thing. It could be I wrote a report. It could be I had a good meeting. It could be I came up with a good idea. Whatever it is, one progress that you made during the day. People who do that are not just happier, their creativity, their levels of innovation actually go up. So this is a practice that you can introduce on a regular basis, expressing gratitude for what you have accomplished, not only thinking about the things that you haven't yet accomplished.
So while I do agree with that, when the boss or the HR professional himself or herself is under severe pressure, what is it that he or she should be doing differently? Because at any given point of time, we are talking of a situation, from what I hear, is that we need to radiate positivity. But I have a pressure on my own head in terms of what I need to be doing. I am not there in the moment. I am there in the task in terms of what the individual would need to deliver. So how does he actually focus on or look at being happy at all? That's the question.
Yes, so the first thing to recognize is that happiness pays. In other words, it's a good investment. It's better for that manager if he or she learns how to be more focused, if they learn how to take more time out, and that's what they need to do. They need more recovery. The reason why there is so much pressure in the workplace today is because people don't take time for recovery. And why don't they take time to recover? Because they think it's a waste of time. Because they think, I'm so busy, you're coming to tell me to take time off. The thing, though, is that it is an investment to take time off. What's an investment? If you think about it, an investment is losing something for the purpose of gaining something more in return. So you put money as an investment, now you're losing that money. Hopefully a year from now or 10 years from now, you'll get more in return. It's the same with taking time off. You're investing, you're giving up for the purpose of getting more in return. So the first thing is to take time off. The second thing is at least 1 to 2 hours a day, single task rather than multitask. It's that single tasking that can not just contribute to the activity that you're doing now, it can contribute to your entire day.
So a personal question. Can you tell me any instance in your life where you were under severe pressure or were totally unsure or tense? What is it you did differently? Can you share an instance where you overcame it and today it's actually helping you actually crystallize what you'd like to do for the rest of your life?
Yes. No, I can't because I'm never tense. I'm always relaxed. No, I'm not. What I do is a few things. So the first thing that I do, I always have a reminder on me. So for instance, when I'm going through a difficult, stressful period, I wear a bracelet on my wrist. And that bracelet reminds me to do two things. First of all, to breathe deeply. And second, to return to the present. Because you know, when you're in the present, no matter what happens, you're not stressed. I mean, think about it. You know, you know those stories, or maybe it even happened to you, when we're in danger, in grave danger, and suddenly everything slows down. Suddenly you're not stressed. You're completely focused. Now, afterwards, you begin to shake and you may even cry. But when it's happening, you're not stressed. You know, there is a lion coming at you. You're completely focused. What do I need to do now? To survive. No stress. Why no stress? Because your whole system is present. Now, imagine if you can bring this sense of presence, not when there is stress, but on a regular basis, day in and day out. And how do you do it? It's very simple. It's by simply telling yourself, return to present. You know, what is meditation? Meditation is not about being present all the time. Meditation is about returning to presence. It's about losing focus and then coming back to focus. So if I'm focusing on the breath going in and out, I lose my focus, my concentration. But then I say, oh, come back to the breath. And if I remind myself on a regular basis to do that, whether it's by wearing my bracelet or by having a screensaver, or a friend of mine, what he did was on his watch, he wrote the letter N. Why do you think he wrote the letter N? Now, exactly. The time is now. Return to present. And the more we return to present, the better we're able to deal with difficult, stressful periods. Because when we're present, there is no stress. There is only the present. The stress comes when we think about what we need to do in the future or what happened to us in the past.
So you talk a lot about taking a deep breath and being in the present. So in your body of work, have you ever referred to the pranayam or the body of work that's available in this part of the world?
Very much so. So I'm actually a yoga instructor. And I also studied philosophy, and I studied a lot of the Eastern philosophy, whether it's the Gita or the Buddhist texts, Patanjali's work. And in many ways, I see that as the root, as the source of everything that I'm doing. Think about this for a minute. You know, you look at the Western world in general, there's been a lot of progress there. Look at the buildings of New York. The US has put a man on the moon. That's amazing. We're now sending people to Mars. Incredible. Cars all over. Really amazing progress when it comes to the external world. But what happens when it comes to the internal world in the West? Not so good. Depression levels have gone up significantly. Anxiety levels up. Unhappiness, terrible situation. So external world, great. Internal world, not so good. Now, come to India. What do you see in India? For thousands of years, it's changing, but for thousands of years, the external world was largely left alone. It's doing just fine as it is. Thank you very much. But there has been a lot of emphasis on the internal world, an emphasis that didn't exist across the oceans. Incredible progress. Only now, today, the Western world is appreciating, recognizing all the benefits of yoga, all the benefits of meditation, all the wisdom that has been accumulated for thousands and thousands of years and the progress that has been made. So when you ask me, does my work take into consideration the Eastern philosophy, you know, the Buddhist philosophy, the Gitas? It's based on it. It builds on it. It brings perhaps Western science to research it further, but that is the foundation.
Can you speak a bit about the books you've written, especially on children?
Sure. So I've written a number of books, a few children's books as well. And the children's books are all about role models. They're all about real life heroes. Why? Because not only children, adults as well, we learn best through stories. You know, the best self-help books or the best leadership books are not the books that give you the 5 steps to happiness or the 3 steps to being a great leader or the secrets to the good life. Rather, there are biographies. There are biographies of real lives. So in many of my books, I talk about real lives, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Helen Keller, whether it's Martin Luther King, or whether it's Marie Curie, the scientist. And always focusing on these people who were not perfect, far from it, who struggled. And yet through the hardships and the difficulties, they emerged stronger, better, and led happier and meaningful lives.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you. He's been signaling to me it's time up, it's time up. But I think you gave us some insights in terms of what we need to be doing. Pleasure. Wish you all the very best. And you've done 31 visits to India. I hope you continue to do a lot more. Wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.